All right, my friends, on YouTube, if I hit all the right buttons, we should be live for another episode of Talk Power BI Fridays. I'm so glad to be hanging out with you here. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe and click the bell so you're notified whenever I go live to help you in your Power BI journey and answer your Power BI questions. Now, hello and welcome to everybody today. Let's check in. Who do we have from our Learn Power BI community? We have Alan and Hans and Steve on the phone. Hello and welcome, my friends. Hey, Alan, how are you doing?
I'm doing really great. How are you?
I'm doing terrific. So good to have you on this call. All right, I'm going to check in with my internet crowd. I see Asif from Saudi. I guess that's Saudi Arabia. I'm not sure. Danny says hello from good old USA. So hello and welcome everybody. And on the phone we have Amy as well. So actually I'm kind of waiting for our special guest today, Lisa Randall, because today's episode was well, actually, you know, we'll probably make do without her, but if she's able to join, that's gonna be awesome. So guys, today's view and watch page, how do I do this? And we have Roy. We have a lot of new folks on the call today, so I'm really happy for everybody who has joined from the Learn Power BI family on the phone. Oh, Lisa is here. Awesome, guys. Perfect. So I think I got, I finally figured out the, how do I say? So YouTube, if you're watching online, just say hello. Come on, just drop me a word. And who do we have? Saeed Islam says hello from New Jersey. Aris Growth says hello from New Zealand. Ashish Das is from India. Hey, what's the time over there, Ashish? So really appreciate you being on there. I know it's near the middle of the night. It is the middle of the night. Loretta Sue, she's a Learn Power BI member. She says hello from Tampa. Loretta Sue, good to see you here. And yes, I do remember you're Loretta Sue, not Loretta, right? Harshal Snaff says hello from San Diego. Jen Nabel is here. I always love seeing our repeat visitors. Where's Guy Johnson today? Guy, are you on? Are you listening? Where's Sam? Our usual suspects. But Jen, so good to have you here. Shyla says hi from Cupertino. Popel is from Austria. And Danny Dennison from beautiful Lake Oconee from Greensboro, Georgia. Thomas from right here from Seattle. So guys, I should have said where I'm from. I'm right here in Seattle. Well, close enough. I'm in Issaquah, backyard of Microsoft. Worked there for many years. Most of you probably know that. All right, so let's kick it off. Today is super duper exciting. So Lisa, let's see if we can hear you. And I don't know if
Hey there.
you're working. Do you have a working webcam?
Not today. No, because I'm back at work, so I'm docked.
Okay, cool. No worries. So, folks, Lisa is the amazing volunteer inside the Learn Power BI program who stepped up to be the candidate for the real Power BI challenge. And I know I kind of love this idea. And I do think it's really powerful. The idea is simple, and a few days ago I was playing with this phrase in my head, and what came to me was, if you want to get really good at Power BI, you got to work on a real project. And if you've heard me before, I always use the analogy of tennis. Like, yep, you can hit the tennis ball on the wall as much as you want, which is what it feels to me when I try working with sample data sets or even public data sets. I mean, it's real data, but it's not a real project. And Lisa makes it real Power BI. Lisa is real in it. So Lisa, thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And I thought this was going to be something super easy, and you'd laugh at me.
Oh, we have so much to talk about, my friend. So Lisa, why don't you hold on? Let me queue up. Let me make sure I'm kind of ready on my side. So let me get real Power BI. And let's see. Oh, where did I? Oh, there we go. So I want to have your file on there and my notes on, and maybe one of the Power BI models. And we'll just do Excel as well. Gosh, I'm opening everything. So great. So while that's opening, Lisa, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Sure. I'm an assistant controller for a cargo control products. I kind of do the full cycle accounting here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm into a lot of the details, and I'm hoping to make myself or make my life a little easier with delving into Power BI and trying to do some process improvements and just make things run a little quicker, especially during close. So it's kind of my main focus. right now.
Yeah, that sounds great. So, um, so in finance, I'm not a finance person myself, but worked with them long enough that I realized that it's a nonstop life. It's crazy. In Microsoft, they use this phrase "rhythm of business." I'm not sure if it's general or Microsoft specific, but I knew that the rhythm of business was nonstop, right? I mean,
It is.
if it's not the close of the year, close of the quarter, is budget planning, and if nothing else is going on, believe you me, at least in Microsoft, there would be a reorg. There would be a reorg or some restructuring or some merger or some acquisition, and everything was up in there. Like, oh gosh, we gotta redo all of our reports, and
That
it
is
becomes a death by 1,000 cuts. I mean, there's a lot of small stuff you do. So, Lisa, was it you or was it another finance person? I know somebody inside our course who used the phrase, and they said, "I look at what I actually do, and I have two thoughts. One, either they can't pay me enough to do this because it's so mind-numbingly boring, right? Or saying, I can't believe they're paying me this much to do this, right? I mean, I'm copy-pasting
right.
stuff. And I think both of those are true at the same time.
Yes.
So cool. So terrific, guys. So let's, so Lisa, why don't you walk us through? So again, it's, as we said, it's kind of nonstop. There's lots and lots of things you're doing. And if it's death by 1,000 cuts, hey, if you save 100 cuts somewhere, that's a step in the right direction, right? It's just I really feel that it's kind of step by step, and you gain momentum, and before you know it, you're in a much better place. So tell us about the data and the process. Tell us about what we're looking at here, what the goal of this is, and then we'll maybe look into some of the semantics of how you get here.
Absolutely. And then I want to know, Avi, real quick, should I be able to see your screen? Do you have something up? Because I only have...
That would help, wouldn't it? Yes. So sorry, I forgot that. Okay, so now...
So, I can go through it, but I don't know if we're on the same tab.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
This is perfect. Okay. So what we're looking at here on this tab, this is a little messier than what I originally sent Avi yesterday, because this contains a lot of work we've done. But we have a lot of rebates and royalties with customers. So I have to take their sales, accumulate those for the month. We run a report, which is what you'll see there, a US for all data tab.
Okay.
And so then from that report, I filter on a bunch of different little groups and paste them into separate tabs, and then those feed over to the summary tab you see here, and then those sales amounts are multiplied by a rate to equal the rebates that will journalize and pay out to the customers. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. It sounds easy, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I would say it's one of those things. It's kind of weird. So as an entrepreneur, I've learned kind of the hard way that there's no shortage of ideas. There are lots and lots of good ideas. In fact, that's the problem. Any idea that you look at in itself looks like, yeah, of course I should do it. But when you step back and you look at all the ideas you're scattered yourself over, it's like, what am I doing, right? So this one is kind of the opposite of that, which is if you look at every individual step, it's easy, but they all add up to something. And so yesterday I kind of experienced that if you look at the Excel approach, I'm like, so I'll give you a quick version. I'll just give you one sample, and hopefully I don't mess it up. So USA raw data is coming from the system, and then of course there's some separate discussion we had about, can we tap into the systems directly? But it's a reality in a lot of companies that either you don't have access, or it's too much work, or there's some red tape there. So the way you access it through reports, and that's okay. I mean, that's a perfectly okay way to do it. So this is coming from the system, and we're getting this USA raw data, and of course she has randomized it and so forth. And we have the same or similar coming from Canada. And then she does some steps where she copies it over, this spits out a number, and this goes back over here, and then we get the final rebate amount. And that's a simple version. There's a complicated one as well, and we'll touch on that. But that's the overall goal. So guys, so you are joining us midstream. Me, Lisa, and a few other hardy folks stuck with us all day yesterday. Boy, yeah. So we started off like 10. We started a little late, 10, 10:15, and we ended up right in the line at 5. And we actually were not done. So that's when I offered Lisa that, hey, let's continue it here. So that's why Lisa is here. So I'll recap my journey, and of course, so if you're inside the course in the pro level, you would have access to the recording and so forth. So you will have access to the real Power BI projects. But the journey. Actually, let me ask you first. So, Lisa, how did you see yesterday? I mean, I kind of have my thoughts. Like, how did you think it went?
It was really, yeah, it was really eye-opening.
Wow. Okay, tell me more.
I was been really intimidated up, to this point about using Power BI.
Yeah.
Kind of scared to use it because I actually bought the course back in December or so, and I haven't even really cracked it open too much. So, because I've been on some of the other calls and online sessions with other people, and they're using a lot of fancy languages and formulas that I just frankly don't understand yet. I'm sure I will, but going through this process has really made it make sense for me, and saying, we take it apart to put it back together, and we break things down and just make it easy. It's really not that difficult.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Now, of course, there's a big kind of lesson for me there, that I don't want my students to join in December, and we're in October next year now, to experience that. And
right.
I mean, I do think I try. That's my goal, but I want to make it easier. And so obviously you hear fancy language and formulas, and yes, that gets thrown around. Hopefully I'm not the one usually doing that. I mean, I like simplifying things. I like breaking things down. And so I used to be really embarrassed about it. And Lisa saw me in action, where I feel like I come across as dumb when I'm working on these things, because I slow it way the heck down. And so this was obviously an internal class project, but I do the same process when I'm with paying clients. And man, hey, they're paying, a good chunk of money to get my services. And here I am. I'm like, no. Just slow it down. Just step by step. What do you do next? What do you look at? And like, whoa. Right. So you saw me do that. And I used to be embarrassed, but not anymore. I really think that's the way to go. And it's not about smarts. It's not about some sexy DAX and page-long DAX formulas. I really think it's about kind of breaking it down. So I love this phrase that you use: take it apart to put it together. So I'm glad you did that. But yeah, I'll see how I can kind of make sure that the class, I can offer more help so everybody gets over this hump. Great. So that was Lisa's experience. I'll share with you guys my experience. And yes, you could say eye-opening. It was pretty incredible. And I always talk about that a lot of life lessons, you don't just have to learn, but you have to relearn. And there's this phrase which my student taught me, believe it or not, Keith Nail, amazing guy. And he said, to teach is to learn twice. And although you would think that what we were doing real Power BI, that sounds like consulting, but we have this phrase which we use when we're consulting. We're always training. We're always thinking out loud. We're talking about what we're doing, why we're doing. So I relearned a lesson. So for me, I would maybe share some of the notes that we had. But folks, so you have heard me. I have heard myself say these things, right? But these are only words until you put them in action. So the words I've used are. It's not about the report. It's all about the model. Oh gosh. Oh, Steve. Hey, I wanted to make sure that I wanted to welcome Steve. He has been our moderator. So Steve, you're on. Your mic looks on.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
I am here.
Great. So Steve, so feel free to type a response on the chat box if you need, or if you need to get my attention, you have my ears. All right, great.
Okay, will do.
All right, great. So folks, you're not going to be ignored. And if you ask questions now, we will do kind of Q&A later on as well. Try to help you with your Power BI problems. But if you ask something interesting, which catches Steve's eye, he's going to capture it and bring it up when we kind of open it for Q&A. All right, so so I say these words like it's all about the model and build a model, not a report. And I talk about that. What's the difference between building a Power BI report, right? And on the surface, they look the same. Ooh, oh, I didn't realize that kind of myself. I mean, I knew it. And I'll say, watch out, right? On the surface, they both look the same, but they are worlds apart. So I say those things, but believe it or not, when we started out, I looked at her requirements and we started off doing these calculations in Query Editor. And I debated and I thought out loud. So Lisa, who witnessed all of that, and I'm like, oh, we could do it here, we could do it in DAX. And that struggle went on for a long while, a long while. And we did kind of Query Editor, doing math there, which I tell people not to do. And then we tried DAX, and I was still not sure. But that was only up to a point where everything clicked. And I saw, poof, right, it blew my mind. And I'll show you the end result. What blew my mind was, and again, these are just words until you experience them. And I experienced it, and it brought me to my knees. So Lisa, you kind of missed a part. So that was the part I kind of, when you had gone offline. But yeah, it was incredible. So we had started off, it seemed like we were doing royalty and all this stuff, very specific, that we do this step and then do that step. And that's why initially I was drawn to Query Editor, because Query Editor is very step-by-step wise, right? I mean, so that's what I was thinking, like immediately Query Editor, we started off there. But obviously, I mean, I'm glad I kind of listened to my own advice, although I dragged my feet, this is when it hit me, when things fell together. Eventually, I was pretty sure that it is going to be kind of a flat file. I'm like, there's nothing here. Initially, there wasn't even a concept of date. Later, Lisa told me that Canada does do year to date, but I'm like, oh, yeah, there is kind of no date here. She's doing month by month. It's going to be a flat table, and that's it. That's not what we ended up with. We did end up with what I teach, which is here's your data table, here are your lookup tables, and I'm so happy we ended up with 3. And I always talk about the lookup tables are the who, what, where, when, how, and these real entities emerge. These real entities, like customer, means something. And we found this hidden away, was like, these people are not really customers. At least, we don't want to treat them the same way. These are kind of royalty partners, and they have a totally different deal, the way they get paid and all that stuff. And initially, none of this was apparent. None of this was apparent. So I was really glad for the end result. And here's what we got from the end result. By following this process, by following this best practice, begrudgingly in this case, but I'm glad I did, that you build the model. And I always say, if you build a model, it can answer the questions you're asking now. It can answer the next question. It's going to arise when you look at the report and you say, oh, this is great, but can I have this? And if done right, it can answer the question you're going to ask next year. So great, we can do royalty reporting from this model, but we can also just trend our sales data. We can say, hey, who are we selling to? Who are our top 5 customers? How top heavy are we? Year-over-year comparison, anything you want. And that's the power of Power BI. That's what makes it amazing. But you got to play it by its rules, right? You got to do Power BI kind of its own way. I call it swimming downstream, right? If you find yourself struggling with Power BI, that's most likely because you're trying to use it as some other tool you probably knew before. So that's one. So that was one big one. Another big one was this, my friend. Like, what is this? Is it about Power BI? No, Power BI is just a tool. It's about people. It's about business, right? And what happens is real life is complex, real businesses are complex, and we have a lot going on. And if you look here, the whole business logic, right, the business rules that we have are encoded in this file, partly, right? So they're in all sorts of different places. For one, they're in the formulas, and gosh, there are a lot of formulas, right? I mean, every one of these, and maybe some of these are different than the other, and all of that. So they're there, and then guess where they are? You see these neat comments in there, and Lisa has quite a few of those, and some I'm sure she kind of keeps it in a notebook and stuff like that, right? So the business logic is all encoded here, and some of it is probably in her head, right? So it's kind of just all over the place, and again, I kind of experienced it. It felt like the first time yesterday, which is that we take all of that and make it just beautiful and elegant. So now, for one, I can see my business visually, right? I mean, this thing is missing in here. Looking at this, believe it or not, we were close to late afternoon to get this picture. And I was struggling. I was asking Lisa lots and lots of questions, and we took some wrong turns. Lisa experienced those. Couldn't help it. But here, it took me a while to piece together this picture, but now we have this picture. Now we have, this is what we're tracking, sales data, and this is the who, what, where, when, how. And of course, we have more. All the comments that were written down, those are steps in the query editor, so that's cleaner, right? And those can be documented. You can have comments in there and so forth. I'm waiting for query editor to pop up. And the measures, they have names, and you only define them once. You don't have like 1,000 measures floating around. It's just once. And it works everywhere, and you can give them good names. You can add description, all of that stuff. So yeah, so it's pretty awesome. All right, cool. So so what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick up from here and just go. And to catch you up, we were able to calculate this stuff, which I, at least in the model, called royalty partners. So there is a list of parts that they hold patents to, and for every unit that's sold, they get some royalty, and you have the rate here for every unit. How much do they get? And this is the effective units sold, and this logic was fairly complicated. It involved returns. We had to exclude returns. Sometimes we had to exclude samples that are distributed. In some cases, we had to exclude kind of intra-company sales or transfers, if you will. But we figured all of that out step by step. And this one is the customer, and their rebate is by dollar amount. And we're just going to dive in from there. So if you see, this one is kind of all set. So Lisa, so let's fix TP, I think, first. So TP was a mapping table which we had fixed. So it should have worked. That was the easy one. So I'm going to go to our Power BI model. What happened? It's not happy with me. There we go. And what I'm going to do is customer, I think. Let's refresh this one. Okay, so let's see if there's anything interesting on there. Wow, a lot of you are here. That's great. Rick from Netherlands. Hello, my friend. Ooh. All right, so let's go over here, and do we see TP? We do. And TP says, so our model is now calculating sales amount, customer rebate amount, and I'm just going to put it here. And TP is 13363, whoop, bingo, and 935. And I mean, I still get goosebumps about this. I mean, so when we were defining these formulas, I zeroed in. You will see some of my working file here. So I'll show you the royalty structure. I had actually zeroed in on a single item number because, and I often do that when I'm writing something slightly complicated, because this is small enough numbers that I can see. And I have this screenshot from Excel, and I created numbers that matched. So 47 is coming from 27 plus 20. I can kind of see that visually easily. 18 is coming from here, 18 plus 0. And this is, of course, the difference of the two. So I did this, and then you encounter the magic of define once, use everywhere. I realized that this measure, and it's not a surprise, but it is kind of a surprise every time I see this, that once you've defined it, it not only works for every item number, but it also works for kind of every partner once you have the rules the right way. Cool. So again, TP, we just had to fix the mapping table. It wasn't there, but now it is. So TP is good. So I'm going to color that green. Give me some Oops. Yeah, perfect. So so Lisa, go easy on me. What's the next easiest one we can hit? What about Edge Keller? I think I saw Edge Keller in the list
Yes,
as well.
that one will be pretty easy. H Keller and the
Yeah, let's see.
customer operating should be pretty easy. So H Keller is we just filter by the customer name, H Keller.
Okay, so I think I maybe saw that, but worded slightly differently. So I'll match the wording, and it'll probably work. Come on.
I can't remember on your file.
There we go. Oh, H dot Keller. It is there. That's interesting. Why doesn't it show up here? Okay,
you mean
so
with the mounts on the working
color. Let's go back to Power BI, and we'll go. Actually, it doesn't show up here. I think I have a clue. It's got a space or something like that. Let's see.
The H Keller does not have a customer buying group, I don't believe.
Okay, got it.
So that one, one we just filter on the customer name of H Keller to pull that one in.
Okay, but so of course, guys. I mean, so again, this is the kind of stuff which makes Power BI awesome. It is awesome. It's the thing. Whatever one-off steps we have, you can just code it once, and we're gonna be good. So I'm somehow having trouble with my query editor, not looking too happy. It's not showing me anything. I'm trying to cajole it. Come on, show me. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay, it worked. So let's go. Let's see how we're building. So by the way, I will just show you a quick tour here. So I showed you the two key things that I look for in a model are, first time I look at a model, I always start with the relationship view. And if you're my student, you better have it organized in this way, at least before meeting me. And the next thing often useful is the query dependencies view, which is the same visual view, but that's for how we're piecing together the data. So here I wanted to look at customer, VIP, I probably can delete. So customer, I'm piecing it together from the buying group. I want to see how I'm merging customer and customer buying group. Oh, the file is open. I wanted to see edge color 1%. Okay, so I'm going to close the file and come back to the query editor. Alright, so I'm going to look at the merge step. So what I'm doing here is, got it, customer buying group, picking up the rate. So what I'm going to do here is, there's a customer here, H Keller, is it? Keller, would I find it? Oh, there is, perfect. Would you rather go by customer account number?
We could. I believe on this one it's going to be just the one account number.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
I like numbers. Trust numbers.
Yeah, because
so
we're going to have.
Let's go with that.
Well, the twist is on customer operating. That one is another one that I pull by name, and it has two account numbers.
That's no twist at all. Not for Power BI.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to make sure that they don't have any more than two while you're.
So guys, we often come at these crossroads, and Lisa, I'm glad you got to experience that yesterday. There were many crossroads. This is a mini one, but I'm gonna call it out, right? So I'm gonna call it out, and we're gonna say, this is 08:45:18, 12:30 p.m. And we'll say, oops. So what is the crossroad? And so again, I'm going to think out loud for so you can see kind of what's going on inside. So initially we had one customer, H Keller, and I figured out the account number. I got this, which needed to be mapped. And in my mind, no, that I can just say, hey, if customer is this, then add this, right? So if this, then that. But then Lisa mentioned that the corporate ones has two more, right? So two account numbers. Is that right, Lisa?
Yeah, there's another tab called
Yeah.
Cust Operating, and yes, so that
Got
one
it.
has two account numbers.
Got it. So for a second, I thought, oh, maybe. So here I was thinking, if then. Here I'm at a crossroads and I'm thinking, should I use if then? It'll be a slightly more complicated if then. It'll have 3 steps. If customer is this, then this. If this, then that. Or the other choice is use a mapping table. So sometimes what I do is I really exaggerate the problem. So imagine if you go from 3 to 300, 3,000, 30,000, 3 million, whatever is a more ridiculous number, right? For you. So if you had that many, let's go with like 30 for us. I would not have a if then else statement like 30 lines long. I would list them out. I'll then list them out somewhere, and I'll say, this customer number is this group and so forth. So I'll list them out and then suck it into Power BI. And that makes it somewhat easier. If I later need to add a customer number and so forth, then I can just change the mapping, add, remove, delete, whatever I want, and Power BI is going to refresh. I don't have to change anything in Power BI. So the advantage of mapping table is, what are the advantages for this one? Easy to change, right? So you change in the mapping table, and Power BI refresh is you don't have to change anything. You don't have to touch anything. So that's nice. Another big advantage is that this can be changed by someone else than the PBI author. Like if you hard code it into the Power BI query editor, it's going to be a Power BI author. I mean, maybe not you, maybe somebody, most likely you actually, who would have to go back and change it. But mapping table, you can make it a SharePoint list. You can use Smartsheets. You can use whatever you want. Put in a SQL table. I don't care. So somebody else can change that. So that's a huge advantage for this. Another thing that I look for in mapping table is kind of the velocity of change. Like how often is it changing? So if it's changing too often, I would definitely do a mapping table, not an if then. So for now, Lisa, I'm just going to go with if then. That sounds okay with you now that I've said all the benefits of mapping table? I think this one is good enough for us for now. Yep. So cool. So let's see if we can do all 3 at the same time. So I'm back here, merged queries. Actually, I'll do this before a merge because I'm doing a merge and pulling out the customer by group. So what I'm going to do is here I'm going to add a custom column, insert step. That's okay. And what I'll say is I don't know, manual mapped. Let's say mapped customer buyer group. Oops, 2 mouses too fast. So I'll say if, I would say if customer account equals this, then it is h.keller. And this is case sensitive, so I have to be really careful. I gotta get it right. h.keller, perfect. Okay. Now let's go to the customer operating one. Would I see something here? Nope. Where did you say I would see those? Here, customer account number.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, cool. So let's go back here. So I got these 2. Tell me a little bit about annual versus quarterly.
For that one, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything special for that other than they just get.
Like, how would I calculate? Let me ask it this way. How would I calculate the annual versus quarterly?
So I'm going to like the main file
okay.
on my drive over here. So I'm trying to see if there's anything else specific that we have to deal with, or if it's just pretty simple. I know it sounds odd, isn't it? To get both an annual and a quarterly.
Well.
Yeah. So for this one, we are just taking because they actually have a quarterly rebate that they get just flat out, which is the 1.5%. And then I have a back calculation in another file, which is the file that gets sent to the customer. And they get another.
Okay. I think I got it. And I think what clicked for me was I realized the sales amount is the same. So the sales amount
the sales amount is the same. So that piece is fine.
Got it. So
let
me
two different rates.
Yeah, let me see if let me try to say it, and you can see if I got it. So in this case, you were calculating rebates for 2018 September. So you lined up all the September sales. You got the total net amount, and these guys are kind of getting a double rebate. One that is paid out on a quarterly basis, and another that's paid out in annual basis. Maybe
right. If they meet a threshold, which is a totally different file. So that's why I was telling you, like, there's two pieces to this. There's this piece. This is the initial calculation and the journal entry and stuff for close. But then I have another file that I put this data in, and there's secondary calculations for some of these. So so we go ahead and we accrue and accumulate in anticipation that we're going to pay out 4.5% for the whole year. But if they don't meet their threshold, then it's money back in my pocket.
Love it. Accrued each month, but only paid if thresholds are met. And is the quarterly one also subject to threshold?
No, that one is a flat payout every quarter.
Okay. As flat payout each quarter. Annual. Only paid if thresholds are met. Makes sense. So, So folks, since yesterday and today, the whole thing has been another one of my analogies, like peeling an onion, agile behind all of that stuff. And every layer, we kind of go deeper. And I really, for the most part, enjoy the journey. It does get frustrating when you get stuck on something like, how do I do this? But, look at it like a puzzle. So I try my best to enjoy it. So this is fun. I mean, peeling the onion, like, oh yeah, cool, awesome detail. So now, as soon as she mentioned this, I'm thinking kind of ahead of myself, but that's what Power BI I know enables you to do, is that if we fed the thresholds into Power BI, for now, let's not even worry about that other process. Let's say Lisa keeps running it manually, right? So she checks the threshold met or not, they get paid out or not. But now that they're in the system, somebody can come in and ask and say, in the last 5 years, how many times did they meet the threshold? Right? I mean, now somebody, how many times did they meet the threshold and were paid out? Show me how the thresholds have changed over time. Have we made them higher? I mean, ideally, sales team should keep upping the game. It's like, oh yeah, last year was 100K, and this time it's going to be 150, 200. Are we upping the game, and are they consistently meeting it? Are we making it too easy for them? All these sort of questions. And you would be able to answer it without doing anything different. Your model would already have those answers. I mean, it doesn't right now because we didn't pull in 5 years of data. But of course, it's really simple to change that. You just feed it that information, everything else is set up, and now you can ask much richer questions that, I mean, this would be good stuff. Cool. So we'll park that though, and for now, we'll just report this number. So we'll set the bar low for ourselves. So got it. So this one is, frankly, I don't know right now how I would report it separately. It seems tricky because it's really the same customer, but we'll come back with that. So I'll park that as a challenge. How do we create 2 rows for one entity? And I have one idea. I'll just say it right here, but I'm not loving it, but maybe we do that. So challenge. So there's one entity but 2 rows. One entity, 2 rows. we're gonna park that one for now. Let's just see if we can do the math. So come back here. I have the customer operating numbers for these two, and complete our formula. I wish this had a switch function, but it doesn't. That's okay. Oh, not if, else if. This, else no. Oh, else customer buyer group. So if we're not overriding it, then just use what came in. And I'm going to come back here. I'm going to copy this, take this in, copy the other one, stick this in, and what are we calling it? Cust operating. Yeah, well, that's going to be a challenge. Anyway, let's see if we can solve Edgekeller, and then we'll come back to this. So mapped customer buyer group. So we got this new group. We can delete the old one. I mean, if I want to check to see if one is working, I can do a quick check. Let's try this guy, and I can say show me customer account is this, and perfect. So you can see that in the data that was coming in, it was blank, but we mapped it. So I'm just going to delete that row. Sometimes when I do debug stuff like this, and if I don't delete it right away, what I do is I right click and rename it as is debug in all caps. That way, if something is not working and something blows up, I come back, look at the query, and I can see it right away. Like, oops, I left a debug step in there. So if you're going to delete it right away, it doesn't matter. But sometimes I'm trying to figure something out, and I want to leave the debug step in. I just name it that way. So now I'm going to go back here. I'm going to delete customer buyer group. And I love this part in the old Excel. You can, once you create a column dependent on something else, and then something else dependent on that, you have to carry all of them. This one you can just get rid of that, and I'll name it back to customer buyer group. And now at least I'm expecting Edgekeller will work right away, because earlier it was not being mapped, and now it is going to be mapped. So let's go back and load this data. Danny, you're hilarious. So I'm here to learn Avi's outlining note-taking techniques. I can definitely talk about that, my friend. So I'm a OneNote fiend. I love OneNote. I call OneNote my brain on paper, although it's not on paper. Okay, so let's see. So we're here, and I was looking at Edgekeller. So Edgekeller, was it there earlier? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But now it's showing a number, which it wasn't earlier. And let's go back and check this one. Perfect. So 33708 and 33708. Perfect. So we got this one done. Oh boy. Now for the tricky part. How do we show two rows for one of them? Now I know we can use disconnected slicers. I wonder if there's another way. So there's one customer, but we want to show two rows. This one is tough.
No, we have another one that shows up 3 times, kind of, sort of.
Oh, that's
one of those.
That's actually encouraging, because then it's not a one-off thing. If I solve it for this, I'll solve it for this as well.
Right.
Thank you for sharing that. So, but guys, you also kind of saw how I think, right? I mean, if it's a one-off thing, I'm reluctant to bring in the heavy guns. Right, because it's a trade-off, and you've heard me talk about it. It's not about, so let's mark it as another Crossroads. Ooh, this is exciting. So this is 090039, and and let's say 12:46 p.m. So I was thinking this one. How do I do this? So what Lisa shared was the same pattern exists for what was it? Corp, Gust operating, and TPR. Gust operating and TPR. So that is okay. How would we do it? Multiple ways. What if we did? Ooh, I think I'm onto something. Oh, gosh, this is. What if it works? So, yeah, I'm hesitant. Oh, I can't avoid it in a live call, but I think it's gonna work. So earlier, what we had was customer and a rebate rate, and I didn't even think about it then, but inevitably, your model is built on a set of assumptions. And I really believe that clarity comes from doing. Clarity comes from action. Learning comes from doing. Pick the one you like. Learning comes from doing. So somebody could say that, oh, Avi, you're struggling so much because you didn't do requirements gathering correctly. I say that's BS. I've seen lots and lots of projects, Microsoft, all of the companies. Don't even get me started on that. So requirements doesn't do anything. It's a CYA document. So we get clarity as we go along, and a model is a set of assumptions. And this, a lot of them I called out yesterday, so I'm assuming this. I asked her, like for this one, I had a very specific question where I said for one item number, can multiple partners be paid out in royalty? And in my mind, that was a very feasible scenario. In fact, if I didn't have Lisa around, I would have designed a model for that. But she said, nope, that doesn't happen. So I said, oh, cool. That means it's a simple one-to-many relationship, right? So that simplified it, but I had made an assumption without quite even realizing it, that I assumed that a one customer, one rebate rate. At that time, I didn't know. We were going step by step. And again, that's the process you do want to take. So this is nothing bad. We were going step by step. And now I ran into this and I'm thinking, you know, it's weird. But then there's other one as well. So it's not actually a disconnected slicer. It can be solved that way. And I may have solved that if this was an exception, if Gust operating was the only one. But what we have here is the assumption is faulty. One customer has multiple rebate rates. Ooh. So if there is, so obviously in tables, if we have like one cell can only have one value. So right now we had, let's try this. Oh, so we're doing it by customer buyer group. So one customer buyer group. I need to change my language there. So every customer buyer group has multiple rebate rates. Let me change the language here. One customer buying group. Multiple rebate rates. So I'm gonna try this. In fact, I'm gonna copy a version of this in case I mess up or something, I guess. 19 and 0519. Wait, PM. Wait, that's weird. Oh, it's got the old timestamp. It's 1250. Okay, so we got that one. So what I'm imagining is another table. The way you can do one-to-many is another table which has the customer buying group and the rebate rate. And here customer buying group isn't unique. Oh boy. And then I was gonna say it links to customer table here, but I can't do that. I can't do that because the grain of the customer table is not at customer buying group, which is no big deal. It happens all the time. You have a calendar table and some data is a date level, some data is at a month level, so you can have things like this. But we can solve it two ways. So let's kind of park our solution here, and let's see how do we solve it. So here, this table I imagine is going to have, oops, I need it smaller. There we go. So customer buying group and rebate rate. Let's try. Okay, guys, I'm just trying to take a screenshot here. Did that work? Yes, it worked. And I'm going to take some notes. So, yeah, note taking. Who called it out? It was Danny. Note taking is a big part, my friend, of building models. So, what we're going to say is that these two tables need to be related, but customer is not at buying group grain. Cool, so we got that. I'm gonna stick it in my notes and then think about how we solve it. I already have a plan in my head. So we can solve it one of two ways. So right now, maybe first let's create the table, customer buying group and rebates. Okay, so we're going to surgery now. I'm putting on my surgery gloves. Actually, I'm going to the kitchen. I'm putting on my apron. So our query editor is the kitchen. That's where you shape your data, clean, shape, transform. How many times have I said that? So let me see where my rebate is coming from. So rebate is actually coming from, so I can see my query dependencies view. Oops, somebody wants to get a hold of me. Okay. Love this, love the visual, right? So customer is coming from customer buying group rebate, which is coming from that file, and that's okay. So I want to zero in on this path, and I should really delete the VIP table. We're not using it anymore. That was the original plan when I was not really building a model, when I was solving everything in the query editor. I'm glad I didn't go that way. All right, so let me save it. So customer buyer group, and if I'm slow, well, excuse me, Lisa saw this all day, where I just go step by step. So customer buyer group. So we have this, and that's interesting. Ooh, so it has multiple entities in there. So this is what I always say is a human-friendly file. This is not really, kind of machine-friendly, Power BI friendly. I can solve it here. Ooh, let's do Crossroads. All right. So let's say I'm gonna grab this screenshot. So the Crossroads is 09:45. This is 12:22. Hello, somebody joined. Hey, I think, okay, cool. So Crossroads, we have this image below. Goal is create a mapping of customer buying group to rebate. And humans can get away with this because what we're doing here is we're putting two different pieces of information in the same cell. Machines, not so much. So there are two ways to solve that, right? So challenge here is one cell value encodes two different things in this case. So solution 1, split it using query editor. Solution 2, split it at source. Both has their trade-offs. Sometimes you cannot control the source, then the decision has been made for you, then you're solving a query editor. This time we do control the source, so I'm just going to solve it in the source. I'm going to work on queuing up some music for these segments where I'm opening a file or something. So yeah, two pieces of information here. I'm just going to break it up. And it's a small file, so I'll just do it manually. So cust operating is actually the name of the customer. That's one piece of information. And I'll say annual. And this one is going to be quarterly, right? So I'm making it machine friendly. And I didn't need to. I could have solved that in query editor, but you can control it. So TPR. I have questions about TPR. Let's see. I just want to take a quick peek at TPR. So TPR. So this is curious, Lisa, help me out. So customer operating, it was the same sales number, but there were two different rebates. So I got that. But the TPR, these two, oh wait, let me guess, okay? So I think it's a set of part numbers which fall into this category, and that set of part numbers have two rebates, and that's why this sum is the same. But then this is the overall TPR volume. Did I get it?
So yes, so two separate, well, yes, so there are some part numbers that have an FNB extension on the end.
Okay.
And
all right.
Those FNB parts get both a 2% and a 6% rate.
Yeah.
But those parts are excluded from the TPR 2%.
Ah, okay. So that's one mistake I made in my assumption. So I'm glad you're here. So they're excluded from there. So I'm assuming that these two, which is 205,000, would total whatever I get for TPR.
I hope so.
Okay, let's just do a quick check.
And that would just be for the U.S. I can't remember if Canada has TPR or not.
Okay. So
yeah,
got that so and invoice amount. Yep, so it does. So this rolled to 205,262, and that's what we had over here, 205. So exactly match. So that's good. So there's a set of parts which have these two, and then there is a set of parts which is this. Ooh. Now, so guys, peeling the onion, right? Peeling the onion. You better enjoy it, because this is the life of Power BI. And this one has at least a finish line. When we get these rebates all figured out, we're home. But general dashboards like finance, sales, where you're trying to just get insight into the company, there's no finish line. It's never done. You're always peeling the onion. Endless onion. Ooh, cool. So let's call it out. So 09/14/12. This is 12:59 p.m. And we are peeling the onion. So we found a new scenario which we hadn't quite encountered before. So TPR, FNB, wait, did I get that right? Nope. FNB direct parts. So we have FNB direct parts, have two rebates, 2%, 6%, but then all other part numbers. Boy, that one is really tricky. So I'm going to park that one. Come back to it later. I'm going to list it, but it's not going to work actually. So TPR, and we'll say 2%. So I'm going to list that 2%, 2%, 6%. So now we got a clean column. This is not actually customer. This is customer buying group. So customer buying group, and this is rebate. So now again, so what we changed was earlier the logic was that a customer buying group has one rebate, and it only worked because we had encoded two pieces of information here. So now we can't do that. So this looks clean to me now. I'm not sure I want to ask about HDATP. We'll save that. Okay, cool. Let's see if we can solve customer operating. So cool. So table is clean. I'm gonna save it and stick that in our notes maybe. And cleaned up table. Oh shoot! What happened to my screenshot? Nope, didn't work. Okay, anyway, ignore that. So let's go back to our Power BI model. And it's going to break my query, but that's okay because I changed something. Yep, it broke it. You can click go to error, and here it says rename column. Oh, I don't need to rename now because I fixed the name. Customer buyer group, so we got that. But now we can't merge it back to customer. Oh well, for one, it's complaining about the merge. Why is that so? Oh, I messed up the name buyer group. I'm just gonna change it here for now. So source, and we'll say buyer group. Okay, so the merge would work syntactically, but it's wrong because why is it wrong? Oh shoot. Let's see what's the easiest way I can show you. 199. How many rows are there? Oh, okay, fine. Let's just do this. Let's just do account rows. Transform group by advanced, and I don't want to group by anything. I just want to count rows, and it's 640. But let's go before the merge. Oh, bingo! And notice here it says 630. So our table is not unique anymore. In fact, right? So because one customer buyer group, anybody who was matching, let's go back here, was matching, let's say customer operating is now matching two of them. So yeah, so not good. In fact, if I delete the grouped rows, bring it back, my theory is that it will fail when loading because it'll complain because it cannot create that relationship. Oops. Oh, yep. So yeah, it's not unique anymore, right? So, and obviously we understand that, we knew that, I expected that. So we're gonna go back and not do that merge because that is gonna live as a separate table. So now we're going back and solving this problem. So now we got to solve this. So let's first create that separate table. So customer buyer group. Oh, I realized this is our table. This is customer buyer group, and last time we had merged it because we decided we can merge it. We don't have to load it separately, but now I do need to load it. So let me change that. I'm gonna enable load on this one, and I'm gonna go back and remove that merge. So merge expanded. What is this? Customer internal. Oh, that's a field, so that one stays. That's based on customer account number, so that's at a grain of the account. Let's delete the merge and the buyer group. Okay, and this would break everything. Not too happy with the name. I left it customer buyer group rebate rate. Now I normally turn off auto detect. The only reason that I really wish that was a global setting, but it's a file-based setting, so I always forget. But I'm glad it didn't try to connect these two. So we have customer buyer group over there and over here. and I do want to essentially connect these two, but in my theory is not going to work. It doesn't work because the customer buyer group is not unique on this side, right? So there are two options. So let's go back to our Crossroads, and this is a classic problem, my friend. Differing grain of data, right? So you have your calendar table. Now calendar table is always at a date grain, but you say, oh, my budget data is monthly. And you try to drag and drop your budget month to the month in your calendar table or month year, and it doesn't work because it says, hey, it needs to be unique in the lookup table, and it's not unique because the month is repeated. Like, yeah, so well, January 2018 is going to be repeated 31 times. So it's a classic problem, and there are actually three ways to solve it. And I'm glad to say that I do cover that in the course in detail. So we're going to do a quick version of that. Solutions. One would be to create a new lookup table at the customer buyer group grain. So that would be, we create a table over here above this one, and this you cannot link these two together, but what you would link is this one to the customer buyer group and this one to the customer buyer group, and from here you will delete that customer buyer group, and customer buyer group is going to come from here. So that's one option. I'm not a huge fan of that, so let's see what is the other option. There's a fancy option where you take that table and smash it in so that this table is what I call a multi-grain table. At the same time, it's both at a customer buyer group and at a customer level. It kind of blows my mind every time I think about it. So that's pretty cool. But we wouldn't get there. I don't think we need something that fancy. I feel we can solve it another way, which is not always possible, but we can maybe create this at the customer account level. And for one, there are not that many rows in customer account table, so I'm encouraged by that. 630. So if we blow this up and make it at a customer account level, let's try that. Back to I'm not surgical gloves. I'm putting my apron on and diving back into my query editor. Oh gosh, and if we go here, and now we're gonna do the opposite merge. So earlier, when we thought this was 1-to-1, we were merging this into the customer table, so the customer table had the rebate data. Now we're going to do a reverse merge. We're going to merge customer table into here so that this one knows that this has what customer account numbers. Cool. Let's go merge queries. And customer, no, not customer account, customer buyer group. So for this buyer group, tell me, oh wait, yes, okay, cool. So, okay, so we got that, and now it's gonna blow up this table. Holy moly. You guys, if it ends up in a dead end, I'll apologize to everybody and, to work on this offline. Because the original model wasn't quite designed this way. Let's see. And I say customer account. Customer account. Okay, that's what I wanted. And now we have a way to connect these two. Oh, okay, this time auto detect did work. Again, I should probably turn it off. Let me do that really quick. Options. Okay, where were we? Data load. Don't detect. No auto date time. Okay. Come on. Okay. So it did detect it, but it's not perfect. And it's not perfect because we are reporting on this table. All of our measures are on this table. Well, we put them in a separate formula as one, but they are all operating on this, like units sold, sales amount. It's all coming from that. So we're doing math over here, and we know the final report, we want it by the customer buying group. We want it by that. And where is that? Well, that one is here. And that's a problem because usually you can only slice and dice stuff with what is uphill from you. So guys, again, I mean, you know, Avi Singh does it, Matt Allington does it. Probably there's a good reason. I've been laughed at for this on YouTube. People leave comments like, seriously, you know, this is your key lesson to everybody. But yeah, data table downhill, lookup tables uphill, and default should always be one directional relationship. Always, always, always. No dotted lines, no double arrows both direction, unless you can tell me exactly why you're doing it. And this is going to be one of those scenarios. So here, again, you got to understand the problem. The problem is that we're trying to slice and dice this data by this table, and it's not uphill from this one. So if you want to slice and dice this table by any of these, and well, any of these, don't even have to think about it. That's the magic of Power BI. But this guy's an exception, and when there's an exception, then we change things. So this is how your default model should look like. But in this case, I do want my filter to go up from here. And that is when you turn on both direction filtering. So we're going to change that, both. And I'm really nervous now. No, I'm not nervous. This is going to work. It's going to be awesome. If it doesn't work now, we'll work it offline. No big deal. So, okay, I did expect this. So it did break everything because, again, we had a lot of assumptions in the model, and the measures were based on that. So what I'm going to do is take a screenshot of this just so I can kind of keep it in mind as I'm writing my measures, fixing my measures. So, okay, all right, so go here. VIP, you're in the right place. And let's just see the error we're seeing. Something is wrong. Column rebate rate cannot be found. Okay. So let's go to customer rebate. And it's saying for every, so earlier we were saying for every customer, find me the rebate rate. And earlier it was a column. And you notice here I talk about this. It's something small, but guys, this is really important, that whenever you use a column, you prefix it with a table name. When you use a measure, you don't. Simple, 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 but always follow it. No exceptions. All right, so for one, it lets you look at it right away and know which one is a column, which one is a measure. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. Is this a column? Is this a column? But now I know. So customer rebate rate. And now, how would I get the customer rebate rate? So for one, let's simplify this problem. Let's really, really simplify it, all right? So what we're going to do is give me a list of customer tables. So customer account. Oh, perfect. We have one account. Love that. Well, I mean, yeah, let's start there. One account. If you can make it work for one account, that's the magic of BI, generally, Power BI. You can make it work for everybody else. So now we're going to add this thing, and it's going to break it, and that's okay. Because we're going to do, and this is the famous, my friends, Matt Allington way of debugging measures. And I had seen variables. I had definitely seen and known variables. They're relatively new to DAX. And yeah, I use them once in a while. But Matt, he blew me away. And it's, again, very simple. It's nothing complicated. And that's my favorite part about it. It is just an amazing way. So you're going to witness it, but I want to point out, where is he? Oops, I didn't want to do that. He's out there. He's out there on my channel. Let's find him. Let's just do Talk Power BI. Talk. Let's do that. And Matt Allington had featured, okay, maybe that wasn't a good idea. Let's try it. Allington. Maybe it wasn't called Talk Power BI. There we go, perfect. So this was a Talk Power BI episode earlier, and so I'm going to use his approach, and you can go back and dive deeper into it. So we come in here, and I will say SumX customer. That's great, but for one, I'll fix it. So I'll just say, oh gosh, so we'll say where I don't know what to say, temp equals, and it's syntactically wrong, so I will I got to do something with it. I can just rip it out, just put 1 in here and put a comment in here. Yes. So do that and return 1. Let's just see if I kind of got that much right. So cool. So ignore this guy, customer rebate $1. That's perfect. So but now what I want to see is I want to figure out. So now it's not a simple column anymore. I gotta figure out the customer rebate from the customer buyer group. So I need, and so when I need a value from my downhill table, I can use related. So let's use that. So let's go back to our thing and come on DAX, and we'll say oh boy, let's try a version of that. So for every customer, just tell me the rebate rate. Related rebate, no, not happy. Oh gosh, come on. Where's autocomplete when you need it? SumX customer. Oh, maybe it's not happy because I didn't rename it. So related. Oh man, I feel I'm doing something wrong because autocomplete vanished on me. Gosh. Let's see, what did I call it? Customer buyer group rebate rate. I knew I would live to regret that long name. Buyer group rebate rate. I'm not sure why it's erroring out. Let's see. And here I'll say rate. Ooh, it's not happy somehow with the syntax. For every customer, show me the related one. Well, I give up. Let's try max of that. Okay, cool. So this is Etch Keller, and that is 10% from what I remember. Let's just check Etch Keller. No, that's not it. Oh, there it is. Yep, 1%. So that one is right. Let me just check another one. Let's try FFP. Boy, actually max may be problematic. Let's see. Let's just solve VIP for now. So VIP is supposed to be 6.45. That's the first example that we had started. So VIP, shoot, that's not what I expected. Let's change it to general. Oh, God forbid, it's not $1. Okay, so for every customer, oh, that's interesting. So in here it is right. So at a customer level it's right, and that may be all we care about. Maybe in the total for VIP it's off. Why is that? Oh, it's summing it up. Okay. Okay, Or it's summing it up. I mean, if I change that to just give me a maximum of that, then the total is going to be right. So it's going to say 6.45. So great. So we kind of figured that out, that we can, looking at a customer, we can figure out what the rebate rate is for that customer. Yeah, I'm still kind of worried that if we can solve the scenario that we set out to solve, which was one customer has two columns, but let's take a shot at it. Let's see if we can fix it for VIP. So customer rebate, let's go back here. So we kind of can figure out the rebate for them. So let's just use that and see how that goes. So max, yeah, step by step. So my theory is, so this, now we can give it names. Customer rebate rate debug. Can I say debug? Oops. Okay, can't do spaces. And this one, let's just, so we don't need to use variables anymore, but still I'll keep it. And let's see what we get. Whew. Oh boy, sigh of relief. So at least we could get this working. So 241972 1560719. Bingo, spot on. So in our new structure, at least we didn't break everything. I mean, theory, it would have worked. I knew it, but yeah, practice sometimes is different. So we got this, and I'm just gonna set it back to 15607. So we have that working. And now for the real test. Ooh. Let's see, which one were we solving for? We were solving for customer operating. Customer operating. Now, that one, I don't care about that. What I care about is customer group rebate rate. And then, let me go back to our table. Oh shoot, what did we call it? Let me check our table really quick. Customer buyer group, and I'm gonna rename it customer buyer. Well, it is technically right. Buyer group rebate. Oh, fine, I'll leave it for now. So customer buyer group, and I'm looking for the specific rebate. So customer buyer group. So again, for humans, we could afford to do something like this, where there were two things in the same cell. Machines don't quite like that, so that's why we had separated that. So let's bring that in. Customer buyer group, and we're gonna bring in the rebate. Boy, oh boy. Ooh, hallelujah. Oh, I'm so happy right now, Lisa. Cool.
Very, very exciting. Never thought this one would be that complicated.
Whew. Yeah. This was a doozy. I love this onion. It's been a process. So yep, so annual, quarterly, and we got the right number, 48241608. And yeah, so this one is good. I'll mark it as we've had enough Crossroads. Let's mark like a victory checkpoint or something. Whew. Oh gosh. 09 39 39, and this one is 0125 p.m. Gotta celebrate those. So what we got was, let me change this the way it is displayed. And what if we go this one? Oops. Well, I like the other one then. And let's go over here. All right, we got it. 24. Oh, let's do this. Perfect. So that worked. And, you know, so of course there are lots of different ways to solve it. And if we had stuck to our original query editor approach, you can hack anything in query editor, but that's almost a risk, because if you go down that road, it doesn't become much different than the Excel hacking we're all used to, the old Excel hacking, where you just, you know, just kind of putting something together, and yeah, you're putting together a report, not a model. So what is the difference between a model and a report? What we just did right now, my friends, that is Power BI modeling. There's a difference, right? End result might look the same. You might in the end get the same kind of result, but this one is a model because we cared about the shape. And what you get from this is now we have, so again, I talked about this is encoding business logic in there. And this is, again, we started with some assumptions, defined it, redefined it, and now, so our change was that, well, so let me try saying it. So now that we have taught Power BI to do this one thing, it can do this one thing over and over. So yesterday when I was talking, when I was recording a recap, by the way, I should have you guys meet our newest family member. I don't know if you can see it. So we got a dog last weekend. So she's really nice. She's amazing, not even beat. So when I was recording it, what I'm finding about dog training, I swear I'm going to get somewhere with this related to Power BI, is if you teach a dog to sit, it's not like they've learned it forever. You have to teach it again and again, often in every new setting, because they may sit at home, they will listen to you, and they'll sit. When you say sit, they're going to sit down. But when you go outside, the context is different, and you're going to say sit, and nothing happens. You're like, what happened? And that's what the old world was like. You couldn't teach it these genetic tricks. You had to teach it in every context. You're like, oh, this operates this in this manner. But now if I asked, oh, cool, TPR also operates the same way, what is the answer for TPR? Nothing at all, right? You have to teach it all over again. Like, oh, yes, I taught you once, but I'm going to teach it again. So here what we have done, my friends, is by building a model, and that's the difference between modeling and creating reports in Power BI. I have taught Power BI this pattern. I have taught it how it works for this multiple patterns. Now, I wish that TPR was the exact same way. It throws in another layer into our onion. But if it was, and if there is ever in the future, what do we have to do? Well, this is what you have to do. You're going to go to your mapping table and add probably 2 lines there. That's it, right? So you teach it once, it does it for you forever. Cool. Some version of that, right? So I've taught it this pattern, and now if, let's say, Edgekeller next year gets 3 different rebates, I just go in there and say, yep, you know, 2% and 3%, and that's it, and everything else would work. I don't have to touch anything else, not even once. Well, if you're not automatic refresh, you might have to do it, right? So you teach it a pattern. Ooh, I'm gonna write that one down. That was good. So we are building model, not a report. We just taught Power BI, and I'm really thinking of dogs, a new pattern to solve. And now I can solve that pattern forever. Okay, cool. So you get the idea. All right, so HDATP, tell me about that. I'm seeing if it's simpler than TPR. I might want to take that on.
Okay. I'm going to hop over to my file as well.
Okay.
I've got the thing open. All right. So for TPR, the way I worked this one is from the raw data.
Tell me about the HDATP. Somehow it's not marked.
Oh, yeah.
Green
Oh,
in there.
sorry. I heard the wrong one. So, yeah. So HDATP, really not too bad. It just has 2 buying groups, one bind group is TP and one bind group is HDA. It pulls both of those in together, sums HDA plus
yes,
TP,
I see your notes.
and then calculates the rebate.
All right, great. Love it. So we have definitely doing something here. 09, 45. This is 01:31 p.m. and customer behind super group. So HDA and TP, but we already have TP. Do they get like they get rebate?
Yeah, this is one of those crazy ones that there's a parent company over top of TP, so they get a cut of both.
HDA TP. So let's say HDA TP or so HDA is the parent?
You can call it the parent, yeah.
Oh, it's auto correcting my HDA parent shell companies. Rebate deals at both levels. Wow, so I like that one. I love that one, in fact. So because I think this one is really easy to solve, really easy to solve. So for one, I think I have a hierarchy. So customers belong to customer buying group, and customer buying group sometimes, at least in one case, can belong to a super group. So we'll add that. Insert to the left, and of course you don't have to call it super group. This is how I'm thinking. You can name it whatever you want. And for now, we'll put this here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. So we'll add that here. But now I want to focus on. Let me do this. So HDA TP. I want to focus on this one and the TP one. Okay, great. So let's do data ascending. Oh no, descending. Let's do, oh gosh, come on. Okay, so let's do descending. Okay, cool. So now let's focus on HDA TP and TP. And HDA TP is actually made up of two elements, so we're gonna break that up. So again, the same challenge. So like human friendly data, right? We encode a lot, like encode in well, more than one value in a cell. It's that kind of thing. So we're gonna break it up. So we're gonna say HDA. Oh, come on, autocorrect. It is HDA. How do
I eventually had to add that HDA to like my dictionary because it kept autocorrecting it on me as well.
Come on, Excel folks, help here. Autocorrect. Oh my gosh. Oh, can I hold on? So if I say HDA, what about a formula? Oh God! It autocorrected it in my formula.
You don't have a dictionary to add it to? I don't know if that works in this or not.
I don't know how to do that. Options.
Oh yeah, where's your
options?
Options, yeah.
Maybe I'll turn off autocorrect. Autocorrect options.
See, and it's in there. I think it's in there that I put, you know.
Oh yeah, like you removed H.
HDA.
Okay, no help from YouTube. Come on, guys. I'm sure there's an Excel wizard out there who knows a better option with this. Turn off autocorrect.
Well, if
I
you
think
put
it's.
replace HDA with HDA, hopefully it should
Oh, okay, yeah,
replace
got it.
HDA with
Let's
HDA.
delete this guy. Okay, let's
Yeah,
try this.
well, I think that it changed it on you again.
Okay.
There.
Okay,
All
so
right.
HDATP. So we split it up, and they both get 3%. So we're good there. And I don't have to worry about TP appearing twice. Why is that, Lisa?
You don't, because of the rates. Because one TP is at a 7% rate and the other one's at 3 with HDA.
Yeah. Who did we solve this problem for?
We did that for, was it the customer operating?
Bingo. Yeah. So I mean, I didn't expect the results going to be that immediate because I didn't know about HDATP. I only knew about TPR, and TPR has some other complexity.
Right.
But you can see right away that we solved it once. We taught it a pattern. Like we taught it a pattern. It was like, oh, companies, customer buying groups can appear multiple times, have different rebate rates. And it took us a little bit of work. But once you solve that, we can just reap benefits. So again, we'll test it out. But my theory is that this is all we have to do to fix HDATP. So let's try it out. Oh boy, it's gonna be fun. So I am gonna take a screenshot of this. And actually, I can probably delete this guy. And let's try it. And we'll go. This is what we created. Awesome. Avi made changes as below. Great news. This should just simply work. Oops, got it. So let's go here. So did I close the file? Not yet. And we're going to refresh, I think, customer and customer buying, or customer, I think both. So customer buying group rebate. And customer. I'm not really sure we needed to refresh that, but okay. So now let's check on so I need to change this guy, and I need to add customer buying super group, and we can say rate. Oh gosh, just give me a list, yeah. Okay, and let's come in here, and we're gonna add a customer. Let's just do SDA and TP. Let's see if it got all of them right. Oh boy. Okay, let's see. So HDA. Oh, I should look at them separately. So let's instead of let's verify TP first. So TP for 7%, 13,364, 13,364. 935, 935. Okay, so we didn't break anything. We had already marked that as green, so that's good. But now let's do customer buying super group slicer. Oops, didn't want that. And we're gonna do customer buying super group. Give me a slicer, please, and HDATP. and I'm focused on the total here. And that one is 188.062, 188.063. It's good. 5641. Close enough. Okay, that's just rounding. Cool. Week 3. Boy. Do 02 01:41 p.m. Okay, so that looks good. Let's check these guys off. So we got this one, we got this one. Last man standing. TPR. Oh gosh, I can't quit now, right, Lisa?
We're so close.
We're so close. But this one is another level of the onion. So we haven't taught Power BI to solve this pattern. So far the pattern is, oh, there are customers. It knows about that. So yeah, we can read the pattern in the tea leaves, right? In the relationship view. That's why there is a reason. This is the first thing I ask for when I'm working with my students or customers. Now, unfortunately, my friends, the reality is that most often my heart kind of drops because I see all weird stuff and I can see that they're not really creating a Power BI model. They're not really thinking about it, a Power BI model. They're just not thinking about it that way at all. And sometimes a flat file, sometimes just a holy mess. It's certainly not organized this way. Sometimes it's filled with these double arrow relationships which they cannot explain. Like I would ask them, why is there a double arrow there? Auto detect. Sometimes there are a bunch of dotted lines. It's just yeah, I get depressed. So first thing I do is I clean it up. So I say, well, the best I can. I mean, it's a flat table. There's not much you can do. But otherwise, I would say data table at the bottom, lookup tables at the top. If you cannot explain to me these double arrows, then I would change it to a single arrow. If you cannot explain to me any dotted line, I would delete it. We'll start there, right? But yeah, so that's so let's read the tea leaves here. So the pattern we have taught Power BI is that the customers, there are customers, and that makes sense. We have customers, great. Now customers are organized into buyer groups. Great, got that, right? Buyer group, I can see that. That is a customer attribute. That's why it is in the customer table. Now, customer buyer groups are offered rebates, and customer buyer groups can be offered multiple rebates, right? So that's this relationship here, and that's how kind of it's all set up, right? So, but now we have a new rule that, so far that rule has given us every single one of these numbers. We can calculate all of this. This, by the way, is the royalty partner. We didn't get to talk about that. That's driven off of over here. But our model knows about that too, knows the concept of partner and knows exactly. So we taught it just one pattern. So we taught it the pattern that there's an entity called partner, and that entity gets a royalty payment, not exactly a rebate, based on units sold, and based on the rate. And it's not really units sold. There's some complexity there. It's effective units sold, which is take the units sold, remove the samples, remove the returns, and then remove intra-company transfers. But we just taught it the pattern once, and you teach it for once. In fact, when I taught it, I showed you the example. I taught it for a single item number. Where is it? I taught it for a single item number, but it knew everything else, right? So, okay, I messed up things now. So now we got another trick to teach it, which is, sometimes some customer have multiple rebates, but is specific to direct parts. Specific to the part numbers. Oh, man. Yeah, this one. Okay, Crossroads. Let's call it Crossroads. Because this one is hard because it fundamentally changes our relationship so far. Data 012.
And it's a dynamic list of parts that can continue to grow. I have a list on the tab, but I don't believe that's accurate anymore. I believe there's a lot more parts than what's on that original list.
TPR.
Try that in there.
TPR rebate is based on part number. Yeah, I'm not too worried about the dynamic part.
Part number and buying group.
Yeah, it knows about the buying group, kind of our model.
Perfect.
So good there, but TPR based on dynamic part number list. I'm not worried about the dynamic part. We'll probably feed it anyway.
Okay.
I'm gonna buy some time. Let's collect the part numbers. So TPR F&B parts.
Yeah, so why don't we go with that list to start?
Yeah, and again, it's going to be a list. You can feed it. You can change it anytime. One thing that me and Lisa had discussed, and that's a valid scenario, which is a wildcard pattern. So instead of saying, give me this part number, this item number, you can say, oh, well, anything that starts with 42313. You know, so we wouldn't implement it, but of course you can. Yeah, not that hard, but okay, cool. So we got the part numbers. So I'm gonna say, so this this is a part list for the royalty folks, so they get paid royalty based on that. Can we repurpose that? I'm just thinking out loud. So the royalty partners, the way they work, no, I don't think that's gonna work. It's based on, maybe we can declare that TPR is a royalty partner. So again, we're cheating, but I'm open to that right now. Okay, so let's see. So in a way, we have already taught Power BI that if there is an entity which gets money based on a specific list of item numbers, it knows how to do that. And I'm wondering if we can. Oh boy. Okay, let's call it. Let's write it down at least. So TPR is based on part number. So Avi is thinking, already taught Power BI how to calculate out payment based on a list of matching part numbers. This we taught for royalty partners. Can we reuse that? Can we cheat? Can we declare TPR as a royalty partner? Okay, so let's, for a second, I'm going to think, what if we don't do that? What if we don't use above approach? What happens? So if we don't use above approach, then we will have to have a mapping. We will need another, let's just screenshot this guy. We're gonna need another table here. Another table where we will say table, and it will say customer buying. Ooh, shoot. Customer. No, we can't do it. I was gonna say customer buying group to item number, but we already have customer group in too many places. This is the key one. So we would have to link this. Well, it is going to link the item number to here, and it's going to link customer buyer group here somehow. If we activate both relationships though, we're going to end up with a loop. You know, where there are two paths between two tables, and I can see that. Will there be a loop? Will there be a loop? Okay, I'm gonna take this shortcut. Let's see. Let's try cheating. Okay, got it. Got it. If we didn't, we to build another mapping table, customer buying group to customer buying group item number, but then it could be problematic to connect it via relationships. We could probably could end up with loops. Oh boy. Okay, so gosh, if we did have that, it'll say customer buyer group. That'll filter the item list. Let's say if we do have that, so let's do it this way. So customer buyer group is going to filter this guy, and this is going to filter this one, and it's going to be a bi-directional filter because it's going uphill. But if we have this set up, is it a loop? Is there two paths between two tables? I think there are. So yeah, I think this is not gonna work. Maybe there is some way. So now from the customer group rebate to the sales data, we would end up with this path. It'll filter through here, and this path, customer down to here. I'm sure there's a way around it, but let's try the other approach. So Lisa, we're gonna pretend that TPR is a royalty partner. Let's see how that goes. Customers, partners, and we'll call it TPR. And now let's go over there and collect the item numbers. Oh, partless, sorry, here. TPR. Ooh, so this this is F. Oh God, Lisa, I think I don't want to, but I feel like I need to stop here because this might take a while. I can't think it through. So if we give it the challenge is that it's not a single, like, so if you think about the rules, we changed this one. Earlier we started off with the assumption that one customer, one rebate percentage. Now we changed that, and that led us to build this table. But now if we go cheat and say TPR is over there, but then there's another thing. I mean, here partners, one partner has one rate, so we also have that assumption, and we're gonna break that because now it's gonna have multiple rates, and for one it's gonna be percentage based. I'm not worried about that. So let's I'm gonna stop here, and sorry we couldn't get you home, but I think it's definitely possible. But I think at this point it's just it's gonna take some time. Whew. Yeah, I know. This is frustrating for me too. We're so close. But I gotta go.
Yeah, so it looks, I mean, I like that we're breaking all the rules, I guess.
So we have solved these patterns, like the royalty side knows how to do based on part numbers. So that's that side. And in here we have solved that one entity can have multiple rebates, but we haven't solved it on the royalty side. One royalty partner has one rebate. So it's just clearly we just need to marry that up and we have our final solution, but it's just at this point it's going to take some time, because just so how we solve the one customer can have multiple rebates, we had this offshoot of a table. So I think it's going to be something here. Oh boy. Oh God, I'll probably working it offline, because it's okay. All we have to do is set up the table, but oh gosh. Okay, fine. Let's just do it. Let's just take one shot at it. Partner. So we need now a separate table here, a separate table which says partner and the rebate, and plus we're gonna have to teach it the percentage one. Well. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna check my calendar really quick. Oh gosh, actually, I might do. Yeah, let's stop here for now. Let's check in with the internet folks and let's see what folks thought about it. And folks, so I'm gonna activate the Talk Power BI call-in line. If somebody wants to call in and chat, and you can share your screen and discuss that. So if you have signed up for talkpowerbi.com, the Insiders Club as we call it, then the line is going to be live. It's live in 3, 2, 1. Oh wait, what's going on? Hold on, it's not working for me. So just give me 1 second. But otherwise, if you have a question, so Steve, anything interesting came in? What was the pulse of the YouTube? I mean, they seem to be a little bit quiet.
Yeah, they were very quiet.
Okay, so soaking it in. That's what I'm saying.
I think that's what it was. People were absorbed in watching, and not too many questions. No.
Yeah, and I feel slightly guilty that we kind of threw everybody into the deep end, because again we had spent the whole day yesterday kind of piecing it together. But I certainly like this part of the journey as well. I mean, I shared kind of the revelations that I had from my day yesterday, and you saw that we kind of had the same process: Crossroads, decision, and so forth. All right, what I'm going to do is try to... I should check in with folks on the phone. And wow, there are quite a few of you guys. So Greg is here, Hans, Lisa is here, of course, and Steve. So do you guys have any question, thoughts, comments? All right.
Yeah, Avi, I'll just say it was a very interesting session. For me, it got to be where I was a little hard to follow, but I think I still did. Got something out of it.
So yesterday didn't quite go as planned. I mean, this is the first time I did it as an all-day marathon, but I think it'll make more sense if you follow along. So you're in the pro level, you're gonna have access to the everything. So if you start from 0, and we started on 0, and right, so it's gonna make a lot more sense, where we just started with kind of Lisa's file, and Lisa kind of walked me through. And so the first thing I asked her was, what's the simplest? And she said, oh, VIP is the simplest. So we said, yep, you filtered based on the VIP customer group, and da. So what we would do inside Real Power BI is that, at least if I can pull it off, and that's my vision, is that you would have some commentary. So you don't have to watch like a 8-hour video. You would have some commentary that, hey, this is what happened in the first hour. This is what I was thinking. This is what our Power BI model looked like. And in the first hour, what you would see it is, I'm trying to solve this in the query editor, right? So you would say, cool, right? And then you kind of have a choice that you can also continue to work on your own, or just go to the next checkpoint. So that's my idea. We'll see how it works. Okay, cool. So thanks for that input. Next time we do this, maybe I'll think about it. So of course, this time we kind of decided ad hoc. We decided yesterday. I mean, I asked Lisa, hey, is it okay to continue? Of course, in the past, what we did, I forget the gentleman who was here, but we started here. The starting point wasn't yesterday all day. All right, cool. So now, folks, the line is active. I think, yep. So if you are a member of the Talk Power BI Insiders Club, just go to talkpowerbi.com and join there. You can call in. You can share your screen if you need to. And I'll stay on for a little bit. Let's see if there were any comments. Give you some time to join in there.
Avi, I'll say this. There was a comment earlier that Loretta Sue.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. She's in the Learn program. Yeah.
That she did, based on what you talked about, there was a solution for her. So she benefited from I think it was setting up the table that, like, almost like a reference table. I forget what you called it, but where you,
all right,
as an alternative to some like multiple ifs or a switch statement.
Oh, okay. Yes. I remember talking about that. Great. Glad that helped. Good to hear that. All right, Herschel. Let's see if we can hear you. All right, Lisa has got to run. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Hey, hi. This is Herschel here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Herschel. And tell me about yourself.
Hey, so I'm here from San Diego.
Nice.
I work as a data analyst with a firm here in San Diego. And I'm getting my master's in business analytics from San Diego State University.
That's
and
sweet.
I'm pretty new to Power BI platform. I started using it when I got a job as a data analyst intern for my summer.
Yeah.
And I always used to use Tableau, but honestly, when I started using Power BI, I'm really in love with Power BI.
Okay.
And every month they're just like giving up new updates. Like I really love the update which they gave last month. When they added the connectivity to Python. I was like, wow, this is so awesome.
That's great.
So yeah, I'm just like, every day I'm like learning new things about Power BI, and I'm really glad to have be using Power BI. So yeah.
Awesome. Great to hear that. You're certainly a step ahead of me in one area at least. So one of my analyst friends said to me once that, Avi, if you don't know R, you can't really call yourself an analyst. And I'm like, shoot, man, I'm not going to learn R. But so that's debatable whether I'm an analyst or not. So R, Python, I've heard great things about it. And of course, it all integrates into Power BI in two places, right? I know R integrates in two places. It integrates one in the query editor.
That's correct.
And it also integrates in like a R visual. Is Python the same way? I mean, I see it here.
It's the same way. Just as R, it's Python now.
Oh, sweet. All right, cool. So tell me if you did you have a question for me? I mean, I love kind of hearing and talking to people anyway, so it doesn't have to be a question. Yeah, but did you have something for me that you wanted to ask?
Yeah, just like a minor question.
Okay.
So I've been like trying to reach out to people on Power BI community, but I did not get answer for that.
Yeah.
So the question is, the managers or the executive in my company, they always want to see week by week revenue or week by week performance. Okay, so I have a bar chart with axis as first day of the week,
Yes. Yeah, that sounds
like
right.
very simple.
Yes.
But the problem that I'm facing is the first day of week. I would be taking it as like for this week, it's gonna be 10/15.
Okay.
Okay. And
Yeah.
for last week, it was 10/8, then
Yeah.
10/1. So I have my bar chart ready. But the problem is it sorts very weirdly because it's saved as text.
Yeah. Got it.
So the way I'm sorting it is
Mm-hmm.
by I'm just adding week number before that. So my axis would be let's say today's week was let's say 36, so it will be 36 comma 10/15, then
Yeah.
35 comma 10/8. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But my executives, they are really not happy with that approach. So I was
Yeah.
like, let me try talking to Avi Singh maybe.
Yeah, there is an easy fix for that. So, and actually, you're already on it. Once I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna okay. So let's see. So we do have so for the folks who are watching, what I would say is, if you go to my channel, you can
Hmm.
grab. So Harshal, you already have the answer, but for other folks who are like thinking like, I might need that too. Grab the ultimate calendar table, and that's got everything built in. But Harshal already has the pieces. But if somebody else is watching, so let's look at the calendar table. And this one, so if you go kind of watch that, you can just download the file. It has a link to download. And what I love about the calendar table is it's completely built inside the query editor. It doesn't connect to anything. So I've used lots of different approaches to build calendar tables. Connect to Excel, connect to SQL, connect to Azure, all of that sort of stuff. But this one is kind of creates from scratch from the query editor. It's not connected to any data source. And I believe it does have the week number, oh gosh. So it has a oddly enough, I might not have the start of the week. I have the week sequence num.
Yeah,
So
so
I'll go add that. But you
I
have
kind
both
of
of those things. All you need to do is go to your column, go to your data model, and say sort my week name by that other prefix you're using. Does that make sense?
oh,
So,
okay.
I mean, because the same way, so I'm not sure if you ran into this, but month, so let me do this. So I'm gonna reset the month sorting. How do I, okay, there we go. So month has the same problem where if I just add that, it sorts alphabetically.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you could put 1, 2, 3 before that, but you don't need to. If you have that number, like I have that number in my table, like so there's month and there is a month number right there, right? So
Right.
so let's go back here, and I'm gonna add month num here just so we can kind of see it. Nope, I don't want you to summarize it. Would this work? Yeah, perfect. So yeah, I mean I already have that. But what I can do is I can tell Power BI that month sort by column month num. So in your case, you have the week label, first day of the week or whatever, and you have
Right.
the week number. So you'll say sort this by that. So sort month
Okay.
by month num, and now you notice that it knows the right order, right? So even if I don't have month num on there, I have this on an axis. It's going to be January, February, March.
Hmm.
All right, cool. Try that.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah, it's kind of funny that I had implemented this thing while making my custom sort, but I
Yeah.
never thought about this in this situation.
Yeah. Oh,
I
so
think,
yeah.
yeah, because I think I did not think about this because I think they're like, maybe there could be a possibility that uh, that column of first first day of the week may not be unique. So I think because of that, I thought about this problem. Yeah.
Mm, yeah. Well, if it doesn't work, come back. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm seeing like one scenario where it may not work, but Yeah, I mean, if it works, then yeah. So it'd be good. I mean, theoretically, that approach should work.
Okay.
But yeah, there's some scenarios where you go wrong. But yeah, so what I will say to you and to everybody else who's on is the sort by column. Don't forget about this because this is really useful. And often you only think about this and use it in terms of calendar, but you can use it in so many other scenarios. One scenario, let's see if we had that. Oh shoot, not in this file. But what we did was that imagine we had a list of our customers. So customer name, let's just put it there. Okay, so these ones are kind of random, so they don't make sense. But imagine real names of people, right? So real names of people, and it's going to be alphabetical. So it's going to start with Avi Singh, maybe. Well, probably not, but Avi is going to be near the top, and anybody whose name starts with Z is going to be at the bottom. And so our sales team said, so, and if you have that in a slicer, and you can have the search box and all that stuff and so forth, right? So that's all good, but our sales team came to us and said, Avi, in this slicer, we want to see our top customers at the top. I mean, why should I have to like hunt for them, search for them, blah, anything? And plus, sometimes I may not even know who the top customer is. So just show me the top customers. And of course, they have other slicers where they can filter to Germany or Europe or whatever they're looking at. So they say Germany, and boom, the slicer always shows the kind of the top customers at the top. Guess how I did that? Using the sort by column, right? There's at least I know there's no other way to do it. You have to use the sort by column. So yeah, it has other uses as well. And I'll tell you one other scenario, and this is very useful in finance reporting. So finance reporting often is a set of labels. And it will say, oh, show me my total income, and then show me my expenses, and then show me my net income and all that stuff. And of course, it's not alphabetical. It is not, right? So yeah, so expenses, I don't want expenses before income. I want it in a very, very specific order. Guess what comes into play? Sort by column again, right? So sort by column has other uses as well besides calendar. Cool. All right, let's see. Is the video recording for this talk going to be available? Yes, it's going to be available, Gravelli, on my channel. Yep. What happens on YouTube stays on YouTube. Yeah, so there is stuff that I do inside my class. That was yesterday, hanging out with Lisa all day. We do our, what we call a group consulting call. Essentially, I'm doing consulting for my students, but we do it in a group setting, and yeah, that's fun. So we do that with the class, and so yeah. So if it happens on YouTube, you get access. The only thing that you would not get access to this time, and this is the only exception, guys, and I'll try to keep them as few as possible, is that if you generally any file we share on here, you have access. Any file we build on Talk Power BI, you have access to that as well. Just go to talkpowerbi.com, sign up over there, Insiders Club, and one of the perks is you have access to all the past notes, and that's right here, past notes. And if there was something that was discussed in a past call, or you're watching so on my homepage there is a playlist for all Talk Power BI sessions, and oh boy, so I was thinking about how many we've had. So we've had 35. Great. 50. I'm gonna have to make it somehow big. About how many we've had. So we've had 35. Oops. Great. Didn't want to do that. Bad idea. All right. So yeah. So we've had 35, and if you see any topic that was discussed earlier, you have access to all those files. Awesome. Okay. Let's do one last call. So if you want, you can call in. Let me see, how's my meeting doing? Yeah, so if you want, you can go to talkpowerbi.com and call in, or type something in the chat box. So last call, my friend, before we call it a day. Going once. So I know there's a little bit of delay on YouTube, so I'm gonna wait before I say last call and hang up on you. All right, I don't see anything new. I'll see you next time. Power on, my friends.
Oh,